Deanna from Vintage Cottage Stitches. I'm here for the basket lining tutorial. It's the road trip basket is the collection. Comes with a wooden lid. It's got 2 cup holders in it. In a bunch of different sections. They usually come with a liner. It's a Longerberger basket. Comes with a hard plastic liner. And then what we're making today is the liner for it. These are great for retreat mats or retreat baskets to keep all your stuff together, or if you're traveling from room to room. I like to take mine out on my patio, so I have everything right in hand for it. So today I'm gonna do a tutorial on how to make this liner. It's got 2 buttons there, so you can see it's opened around the handle. That's on both sides. It buttons, so you will need 4 buttons that coordinate with your fabric. I painted mine, I whitewashed it, and I painted my lid. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do today. So for this, I just made this one as a prototype with the pattern that I drew up because I kind of just winged mine. I bought this little sugar container from Hobby Lobby. It fits perfectly in there. And I have a glass flower frog that I put in there. I have a box somewhere, I'm still looking for that. Okay, so start out. Today I'm going to be using this fabric. It's from 3 Sisters. So I'm going to use this for my outer fabric, and I'm going to use this for my lining. Okay, so now we're on the top-down camera. So first of all, the pattern itself, it will have cover photos on it when I eventually figure that all out, but I wanted to get it up so you could make it. So it's got 5 pages, and obviously the whole pattern is not going to fit on one piece of paper. So what we've done is I've numbered all the pages. They're all numbered in the top corner there. Okay, so we're going to take pattern number 1. I'm going to put them kind of here so you can see it. We're going to take pattern number 1. There's dash lines. There's dash lines on the bottom of this one and up the one side. Those are for placing the papers together to make the pattern. Okay, so we have number 1. This is page number 2. So when we put page number 2 on page number 1, you can use a light box, or you can do this at your window to see through the paper. But we want to line up these dash lines from page 1 and page 2. That gives us the width of this basket liner. It's from here to here. So now we need the other side of it. It's a mirror image, but I've made all the pattern pieces. Okay, so we are going to take page number 3 and put it here. And then we're going to take page number 4 and we're going to put it here. So all my dash lines are matching. Okay, then we're going to tape the pattern together. So I've already done that on another sheet because I made the prototype. So I'm going to set these 4 pages aside. There is a 5th page. The 5th page has the end pieces. It also has a 1-inch square. So when you print it, make sure that your square measures 1 inch. So your size will come out right for the basket. So page 5, okay. So we are going to cut 2 of these in our main fabric, 1 for each side of the basket. and we're going to cut 2 linings, one for each side of the basket. Okay, so here's my pattern pieces all taped together. If you want to pause the video here until you get to this point, feel free. Okay, so I've got this pattern piece, and the other one is somewhere. I'll have to find my other one. Okay, so now I'm going to set this aside for a minute. Okay, so I am bringing in my 2 fabrics. So this is the wrong side of my main fabric, and this is the right side, which it doesn't really have a right and a wrong side from looking at it, but this was the right side on the bolt. Okay, so I'm putting right sides together. Okay, and then I'm going to take my pattern piece that is all taped together. Again, yours will have writing on it, mine does not, because this is a piece that I already had cut out when we prototyped it, which is the liner that's on the basket now. Okay, next step is that we are going to take some pins, and we are going to pin this pattern to the fabrics, just so it doesn't slide while we're cutting it. So we're just going to pin it all the way around. And for some of it, we're going through 2 pieces of paper, but that's okay. And I just used regular copy paper. If you hear any noise, that's because I'm in the main area of the house, and both of the dogs are sleeping at my feet, and the kitten is running around somewhere. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put a couple in the center just to help stabilize it. Okay, so it's all pinned to it. So now we're going to take a pair of scissors. Okay, and first of all, I actually take my pen. Let me grab my pen. This is a friction pen, and I am actually going to draw these. So all I'm doing is tracing around them, because it's easier to cut without the paper and get the accurate shape, and it's going to show on the basket, so we want them to be cut nice. So I'm going to trace that on all 4 pieces. I'm on the back side of my fabric, so it wouldn't really matter, but I am using the friction pen, so I can get rid of them with heat. You can do this with chalk or a sewing pencil or even a pencil. I wouldn't use a marker because it might bleed through to the front of your fabric. Okay, so we've got that. So now I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to move my other pieces to the side, and I'm going to, I hope you can see this good. I'm going to start cutting down the side. I'm not going very close. I'm not cutting the paper, I'm just cutting the fabric. This does have a 1/4 inch seam built into it. I did the 1/4 inch seam instead of the 5/8 inch seam because I wanted to keep it less fabric in between. So when I come to this area here, I'm just going to cut straight across. I think my scissors need to be sharpened. Okay, so I left the fabric in both of the holes. Okay, so now I'm gonna turn it around here and I'm gonna cut the other side. I hope everybody had a nice holiday. We did. We had our our youngest daughter's kids overnight, the 3 and 4-year-old. Ethan started kindergarten today. Emmy started pre-K. But Ethan is into fishing now. So we got to fish. Okay, so I've got it all cut out, minus my handle spots, all 4 of them. Okay, so now I'm going to unpin the paper from the pattern. If you hear my fan, I'm sorry, and my dog is playing with his ball. My husband's gonna take it away from him. Okay, so then when I remove this paper, you can see where I drew the pieces on. To me, it's easier to cut this. So I'm gonna pin right by each hole, just to hold my fabrics together. But then you're not fighting the paper while you're cutting them. That's the only reason. If you want to cut them with the paper, you can go ahead and do that. I just thought I'm more accurate to do it this way. So now I'm going to cut these out. There, and it looks nice that way. Okay, so there's 1. Two. 3. 4. Okay, so this pattern is all cut out. So now we're going to move to the next pattern piece. I'm going to set these aside. Okay, here's my other pattern piece, and here's the rest of my fabric. So I've still got the lining on the bottom and the main fabric on the top, right sides together. And now I'm going to cut 2 of these. If you want to fussy cut, you can, but this is going to be on the inside of the basket, so I'm not worrying about it. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out. Again, I'm cutting the fabric, not the pattern, in case I want to use it again, this is my second time using it. At the end of this video, I will have the liner that I showed you on the basket and this liner as giveaways. If you don't want to try it and you like the pattern, then you can enter to win it. And I will announce the winners on, let's go 2 weeks with this. So I will announce it on a regular floss tube, not the FlossTube Extra. Okay, so there's one cut out. Now I'll just leave this on here. Come over here. Repin this through. You can't see what I'm doing. Gotta figure this upper camera thing out. I need a new holder, I think. Okay. So I'm just gonna pin this through the pattern. You can remove them if you want to, but mine did move a little bit, so I am going to remove them. There's those 2, and I'll pin this. Okay, so I'm going to cut this off. I'm not speeding up the video on purpose, so I want to give you enough time to get these done. And if you can't keep up with me, if I'm going too fast, then you can pause. Okay, so there we have all of those pieces. Okay, so for this pattern, we are also going to need to cut 4 7-inch by 1.5. So I've got enough fabric left here, and I just need that of the main fabric. So I am going to cut those. It's hot in here today. Okay, now I've got a straight edge. I need a new blade. This one. This is overkill, but Okay, so now I'm going to cut 4 1.5 inch pieces. One. Oh, this one's going to do it too. Time to change my blade. All right, go back to this one. Two. Three. And 4. Okay, so that's all the pieces that we need. The ends, the main body, and this is a scrap. Okay. So next, we are going to take our main body parts, unpin them from when we cut the handle openings. Okay, and we're going to separate them. Okay, so I'm going to first fold lengthwise. I've got the handle openings on each side. I'm going to fold this lengthwise, and I'm going to make a crease mark with my fingers, and I just make the crease mark. And on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. Run your nail across it. Okay. So next, I am going to take an end piece in the main fabric. I'm going to set the lining fabrics aside. Okay, this piece is wider at the top than it is at the bottom. So we're going to take the bottom, the smaller end, and we're going to do the same thing. I folded it in half, and I'm marking the center. Okay, and now I'm going to pin this to the side. We are going to do exactly the same thing with the lining, but we're going to leave an opening in one for turning. I didn't write that on the pattern piece. Okay, so this is the way it goes. It widens out at the top, so the smaller end is on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to pin that. So I'm matching up my fold creases. And then I'm going to pin it. Okay, I'm going to go to the machine. I'll go slow so it's not really loud because it is kind of a loud machine. Okay, so I'm going to have to redo my setup. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here we are at my sewing machine. I'm trying another camera holder. So let's see if this works out better. Okay, so I've got, trying to make sure if you can see. Yeah. Okay, so I've got my piece. I pinned it. I unpinned my two ends. The easiest way that I have found is to start approximately 1/4 inch in and we're going to sew this a 1/4 inch, which this is a 1/4 inch foot that I'm using. So I'm gonna sew this until I'm a 1/4 inch away and I backstitched. Okay, and I'm gonna flip it around, and I'm gonna do that to the second piece also. This is the way that I found it gives you the neatest corner. I tried rounding the corners and I like this better. So again, stop a 1/4 inch before and back stitch. Okay, so I'm going to unpin that. Okay, so turning my fan, it's really hot. Okay, so now I am gonna pick up, can you see this? I'm going to pick up the side and I'm gonna match it to the top of the end piece. Okay, now I'm going to pin this. So you can see mine are completely lined up at the top. And I'm gonna throw a pin in, and then I am going to put my finger between the two fabrics. I'm going to take it to the end, and I'm going to match those fabrics, and I can feel, in here I can feel the other fabric, and it's a 1/4 inch away. Okay, so now I am going to sew this seam, starting at the top. See, this machine's a little loud. Hope I didn't scare you with the cutter. Okay, it's a little loud. Okay, so now we have got the beginning of our connection. So now I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to pick up the opposite side. Hope you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to pin that the same way. I'm going to pin all 4 corners. Okay. The first one I did, I put binding on. I went and simplified it because I know a lot of people don't sew, but I tried to make it as easy as can be, less complicated. Oh, and I unthreaded my machine. I'm not good at threading this machine. I had a brother and it pretty much threaded itself. You had to set it through the area and you didn't have to hold it. See, this is gonna take me a bit. Might have to cut this part out. You have to have the perfect setup to get it to work. And I've been trying to test myself to get it to work, but it's not working. I've been forcing myself to use it. There, finally. So it takes the thread in a loop, but I've been trying to force myself to use the threader just so I can learn it, but it's just the right touch. The brother I had, I think I just bumped the camera. Let me see. Yep. Okay. The brother that I had prior to the brother that I have now, well, actually I have quite a few, but it had, or not brother, it was a baby lock. It had a system, and I had that right down. It was the same thing, but I don't know why, I just had the trick figured out, I guess. Okay, So there is one end of our liner. So I'm going to do the same thing for both of the other sides. Pin it to the top. Make sure they're even. Pin it. Go down to the end. And pin it. Now if you notice when I'm sewing these, you can feel where your 1/4 inch is. I'm sewing right off of this fabric. I'm not stopping a 1/4 inch before. So my grandson, he's gonna be 5 in November, and he loves to fish, and he can cast so good. There was other kids. We have a canal in the front of our house and the lake in the back, and there were other kids that were fishing, like boys that were probably 10 and 12. They were very impressed by his casting, so I gave him a new nickname. He's the cast master. We bought him a tackle box, and they took the tackle boxes home with them, my granddaughter and my grandson. My granddaughter's not so much into fishing, but I bought a fishing license, so I told him I'll come down there and fish with him again. He could go every day, twice a day. He even wanted to fish when it was too sunny, and there were no bites. But he catches all the fish, because if I get a fish, he has to reel it in, and it's his fish. And he tries to do his worms and everything. Okay, so now I've got all 4 seams sewn, and you can see it's got the shape of the basket, so we're on a roll. Okay, so next we're going to take the lining fabrics, and we are going to do the same thing. We're going to fold. Okay, so for the lining, we are going to, on our first side, I've creased both fabrics, lined them up at the crease, and then I have sewed from 1/4 inch in, stopped and backspaced, and then I have sewn on this side, I've backspaced it, and I have sewn to 1/4 inch. I have left an opening. The opening is about 3 fingers. That is for turning. So now we are going to go to the other side, and we're going to do this just like we did the main fabric. So I'm pinning it at the creases that I've made, and I'm going to start 1/4 inch in, with a 1/4 inch seam, and I'm sewing all the way across, and I'm going to stop at 1/4 inch. Okay, so now I've got both of those sewn. So now I'm going to take, just like I did for the main fabric, I'm going to pin the top so it's lining up, and I am going to come down here, and I am going to pin the bottom. I hope it's not distracting. I put my iPad in front of me so I can see if it stops recording. Okay, so I am going to sew this all the way down. when I'm doing that, I'm kind of feeling the 1/4 of an inch from the first seam that we sewed. So I'm not sewing over it. Let me show you that. Okay, so I'm gonna pin this, and I'm gonna pin this here. And you can kind of see it right here is a little bunch. That's the other seam. So when I'm sewing it, I'm kind of putting that under my nail so I know I'm getting a good seam. Because I can feel it, that I'm not sewing over all the fabric. Okay, that's 2. See the corner there where it looks nice now. Okay. And again, line up the top. You can also use clips. They're a little bulky for me for this. These are the clips. You can kind of see where the 1/4 inch is too on this fabric where it's sticking out, but if you feel right there, you can feel where the fabric is. Okay, so then we have got all 4 pieces sewn there too. So now we are going to put right sides together. So that means we need to turn this one. I push out my corners with my finger while I'm doing this. Just so they're already out. Okay, and then I'm going to put this one inside of the lining. Now when I'm doing this, I want to match up these seams, and I want to have one seam going one way and one the other. So I'm matching them there. This seam is going this way and this seam is going this way. So that's called nesting the seams. Okay, and then I'm going to put a pin in there. I'm going to do that for all 4 corners. Okay, my camera keeps shutting off for some reason. So back to where I was. I'm doing it on my iPad now to see if that'll work better. So I'm matching up the corners, and my seam allowance is going in opposite directions, and I'm pinning them. I'm doing it different directions because I'm kind of paying attention to what the main fabric is wanting to do. That is a thicker fabric for me. The muslin that I used is a thinner fabric. So if I look in here, this one's wanting to lay in this direction. So I'm letting it. And then the lining, I'm switching to the opposite direction. Okay, so now I want to pin the rest of it. I'm pushing it in kind of, and I want to pin all of it. Just enough to hold it. You could put interfacing in it if you want to. I didn't because it's covered with the plastic liner. I do have that with mine. So I thought that was good. Okay, I'm not overly pinning it, but I've got all my main areas are pinned. Okay, so I am going to pin this a little better. Pinning by my handle openings, just to make sure that they don't move. I'm doing that all the way around. Okay, so now I'm going to start to sew. So I'm going to start on this long seam, so this is the side. It doesn't matter where you start. And I'm sewing my needle came unthreaded again. It's not one thing, it's another. Let's see if we can thread this machine again. I've had this machine for quite a while, but sometimes I just let it go too soon. You just have to have the right pressure on it. My husband's laughing at me. All right, so much for that. This is why I don't know how to thread my machine. Because that's much quicker. Okay, so back to here. I don't sew over my pins. I don't want to jam my machine. This machine's just a straight stitch machine, but it's a workhorse. I love it. Okay, now I'm to the basket, the handle sections. So I'm going to just sew around it. And just go as slow as you need to, not race. My bracelet always hits my machine. Sometimes if I see the corner sticking up here, if I push it in, it lets this lay flatter. So that'll help. Almost done. Last one. I started sewing right here, so I just have to do this handle section. Okay, now I'm going to sew over where I started a little bit to lock the stitches in. Okay, so I am going to clip the corners. So I don't want to go into where my sewing lines are, but I'm going to clip the corners just for easy turning, and I'm going to do it at each section. I'm back to the beginning. Okay, so next we want when we turn it, we want it to lay flat. So the next section, we're going to worry about all the basket handle openings. So we're just going to go in with a small pair of embroidery scissors. And can you see my sewn line? I'm just going to clip, just like every so often, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. It's just going to allow it to open up. See how it's more flexible? So I'm going to do that to each of my handle openings. Just don't cut through that thread. Take your time. If you happen to cut through it, just sew the seam really close to it to put, to redo it. Okay. This week's going by so fast with the holiday weekend. I did get a finish on my Rose Hill Farm. I haven't started which will I stitch yet. I was supposed to do that yesterday. Okay, so I've got all 4 of them clipped now. So now I am going to go in here and I'm going to find my 3 finger. Okay, I'm going to find my 3 finger opening and I am going to pull all the fabric through this hole. Just take your time. Of fabric to pull through the hole, so just take your time. I'm kind of pushing it in and pulling it out. Pushing from that side and pulling it out from this side. Okay, so now that it's like this, I'm going to I've got the stick that I use. I got it in a bag of stuffing a long time ago. I am going to just run this along all the edges. You're going to have to poke your corners here for the basket handle sections. And you're going from one end of the bag all the way to the other, so you have to kind of figure that out to get there. I'm just kind of running it across the seam here. Don't push the corners too hard or you'll poke through. Then you'll have to turn it back, stuff it back in the hole to fix it. So just take your time. Okay, so now So now this opening, you can hand stitch it if you want to. I'm going to stitch mine by machine. I'm going to shove all the little strings on the inside. You can take it to the iron, and I'm just going to do this. You'll never see it, because this is going to be on the bottom touching the basket. So I just sew as close as I can to it. that's also, I'm gonna cut the strings off. My thread cutter doesn't go close enough. Okay, so it's trimmed. Okay, so keep these together. I'm going to go to the iron and I am going to press the top. While I'm pressing it, I'm going to separate these fabrics because I want one fabric on one side and one fabric on the other side. I don't want it to be, like this, or vice versa, where you're going to be seeing the backing. I want a nice seam. So again, take your time and just get it pressed all the way around, and I'll be back after I get that done. Okay, so I've turned my bag. I'm going to press around the top, keeping this side showing with no lining, and keeping this side showing with no main fabric. I finger pressed mine to make it easier. Okay, so I've pressed it all the way around. So next, we are going to take our basket and we are going to place our liner in the basket with the main fabric out, the lining fabric on the inside. I'm just aligning my corner seams and I just want to check the outside and make sure that it's coming down about the same distance. Just fussing with it. I can actually put my plastic liner inside, and it's looking pretty good. Okay, so the next step is the 1.5 by 7-inch strips that I had you cut. Okay, so we are going to take these and we are going to iron them in half. I'm doing it in the long direction, and I'm just folding my fabric over and pressing it. And I'm going to do that to all 4 of them. Gives them a couple minutes to cool. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the first one. Now I'm going to open it back up, and I'm going to fold both sides to the center, but I'm going to do them one at a time. Okay, so I did one side. I'm working on the second side. Okay, now I'm going to fold it in half. Before I do that, I'm going to go back to this end. I'm going to fold it in a bit. So there's not a string sticking out from the fray of the fabric, so it makes it a finished edge. Okay, now I'm going to fold it in half. Now I've got no raw seams. Do the same to the other end. I might wind up cutting one down. Okay, so I'm going to do that to all 4 of them. I think I cut mine 6 before. Pressing the other side inward. Let that cool for a minute. now I'm going to go back to the first ones that I did, and I'm going to fold them in half because they're cooled now. I have the Rowenta, I don't know what it's called. Perfect Steam. It's got the large tank to hold water, but it gets very hot. Okay, so I've got all 4 of these done. So I'm going to move the camera back to the machine, and I think I can show you the rest from there. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back at the machine. Now the 4 strips that we did, I am going to stitch down both sides of it. So first I'm going to stitch down the folded side. I mean the loose sides, the outside. So I'm just going to just put it in here. I've just used a tan thread for this whole project. Okay, now I'm going to run them through, there's what I've done. I'm going to run them through on the opposite side, just for appearances. Okay, now I'm going to trim all my wonky ends of thread. cut them apart. Okay, now I'm going to take these strips and I'm going to place them side by side. I'm going to clip my ends. And then when I get up to this point, I'm going to just let it fold and work it to the center. It's giving me a hard time. Flipped on me. Okay, so I want to keep the strips together and push it up until I've got this. So at the end, it's literally just folded over. You can see here. So the strips are all in the same direction. Let's set that one aside. Let's do it again. Okay, so I've got my strip. It's all flat. Then I'm going to take those two flat pieces. I'm going to clip them, touching. Okay, and then I'm going to let them both go flat up to the point. And then I'm just going to finger press that down. You could do a piece of elastic if you wanted to. I thought this just looks nice with the basket. Okay, so I've got that, and there's the other side of it. So literally we're just folding it down. And again. Okay, next, I'm just going to stitch from the bottom side. I'm just going to stitch across the end of it just to keep it in that position. what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to even them out so it looks even on each side. Okay, so now I'm going to cut these apart, and then I'm going to trim my strings off of them. Okay, so next we are going to take our liner and I'm going to flip it up so you can see what I'm doing. Try to do it right there. Okay, so now when we're putting these, okay, well, I'm just going to wing it. Okay, so if I put these, I have to hold the basket while I'm doing it. Okay, so the top side is this one. So it doesn't have the fold. The fold is on the back. Okay, so we are going to put buttons on this section of the liner. So we're going to just take this and we're just going to have these meet in the center, which that looks a little over. I'm just pushing this up in here so I can get both of them tucked in. I might wind up cutting them anyways. Okay, so then I'm going to take the next one, and the fold again is down. Let me do this. I'm going to fold both of these up so I can make a crease. So it would be right there would be my center point. So this one is a little over. Fix that. Okay. I can still straighten these when I take the liner off the basket. Trying to keep my hands out of your way. Okay, so now we're going to take this one and we're going to do the same thing. And the point is there. So our points are going to line up, if you can see that. Our points will line up. Mine are twisted back here, but when I take it off, I'll straighten it. Okay. So, and you probably can do this when it's off the basket too, if you want, because we're just lining up the center. But this way we're getting the positioning between the two. So I always do it on the basket. Okay, there's my center point. Mine are quite long. Okay, and then the last one. Chloe's coming, visiting. Come on. Come on, right here. There's Chloe. She's gonna check out what we're doing. She likes baskets. Okay, and again, I'm gonna line that to the center. So my points meet. I'm going to tuck these up underneath. Okay, so next I'm going to remove it from the basket. Okay. Set the basket aside, and now I'm going to, I might cut mine and have raw edges. They could probably be about 5.5 or 6 inches. Okay, I'm going to lay them flat, and I'm just going to stitch a line to attach them. I might attach them back here and not cut them too. Okay, so that's what I did. So I'm going to do that to all 4 of them. It's just 2 stitch lines, but they're not very noticeable. I'm going to trim my threads. Okay, so I'm going to go around the basket and continue with that. I've got those all set. So next I'm going to go pick out buttons, which I haven't done yet. So I will be back as soon as I pick some out. I'm thinking maybe green ones, if I can find 4 matching ones, because I want them to match for this. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I picked out some buttons. I didn't have any green ones, but I found these. I have a big button jar, so I think that looks pretty good. The wood grain. So that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so when we take this onto there, I want to sew my button right in there. So about just under a 1/4 inch from top and bottom. Okay, so I'm going to sew them all on like that. This is one of my favorite tools. I love this for binding. It holds my scissors here. It'll hold 2 pair. It holds my thread, and it holds my needles, and it would hold the thimble if I was using a thimble if I was hand quilting. Okay, so I've put a knot. And I'm going to go from the top down, so the button's going to hide my knot. And I'm just going to sew the button on by hand here. I've got my thread doubled, and I'm going to do 4 passes that way. That's just through the 2 holes, and now I'm going to do 4 passes the other way. So it'll have some strength behind it. You can sew your buttons on with your machine too, with a zigzag stitch, but this machine is just a straight stitch. I should put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so now I've got that stitched. I'm just going to take it to the back, put it through, try not to poke myself. I'm going to do that twice. Okay, so I'm pulling it through. I'm going through the threads and pulling it, and that's a knot. Some more thread. This is a quilter's knot. If you just take your thread and put it along, you see I've got a knot there already. If you put it along your thread and hold it with your finger, wrap it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Try not to get that one to fold in there. Then you're going to grab a hold of all of that with your fingers and hold it while you pull the needle through, and it puts the knot right where you cross the needle with your thread. So, oops. So now you can see I have 2 knots. Now I'm going to cut it here, but that's a quilter's knot. Again, I'm going to do like 1/4 of an inch from each. I'm going to go down through the top to hide my knot. There's 1, 2, 3. Took a little bit to find those buttons. I have a big sewing machine coffin thing. It would hold a sewing machine, but it's not connected to it. Full of buttons. I had a big jar and I lost them. How do you lose a big jar of buttons? It was like a 3-gallon jar. And 4. I've got something on my hand. I don't know what that is. Probably from the buttons. Okay, and again, I'm going to flip it to the back. I'm going to go through the stitching. Coming up, I'm going to put my needle through the hoop. So that's 1 knot. Put it through the loop, 2 knots. Okay, again with the quilter's knot. So we're going to take this thread. Let me do it over the dark so you can see. Okay, so I'm going to put it, I'm going to cross my needle right there. So that's the tail I should have. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to get that all scrunched down, hold on to it, and I'm going to pull my needle through. And there's my knot. Over the dark. Okay. Through the top, so my button hides my knot. One, 2, 3, 4. Now to the other 2 holes. Let me find them. 2, 3, 4, and at the back, I'm going to go through the thread and fabric, or either one. The thread's a little stronger. Through the loop and pull it. That one got a knot somehow. And then again, through there. I'm going to go through the loop and pull. We're having a really rainy day here today. I've been working on this for quite a while. I don't know what time it is right now. That doesn't show. I'm figuring this out as I go. It's going to be probably a pretty choppy video. Sorry about that. Signed up for StitchCon today. That was at noon. Okay, so that's 4 in each. Grab some thread, go through the loop. And that's it. Okay, so now this liner does not match my top because I painted mine a teal color. But I'll show you what the top on it. Buttons were hiding. Okay, we're almost done. We're going to button it so you can see. It's not really going to come unbuttoned, but I am going to go back. I can just do it. I'm just going to mark it like here. And be careful not to poke yourself. I'm just putting the pen in one side of each. I probably didn't show you that. Okay, so I just put the pen through the bottom where I want to sew it to keep it buttoned. That one's a little tight. I might want to readjust my liner. Okay, so I've buttoned it. Now I'm going to go into here, right there, and I'm going to put another pen right there. Okay, now I'm going to carefully unbutton without poking myself, which I probably will. Okay. And I'm going to remove the liner from the basket one more time. Okay, so now I'm going to take these, remove my pen, and I'm just going to stitch these together just to lock the button in. So I've just sewn that so it can only open so far now instead of all the way down. So all I did was put them side by side and stitch. So I'm going to do that to the rest of them. I got to trim off some strings, but I can do that later. Okay, just trim up the threads and put it on the basket. And I'll show you it with my lid, even though it doesn't match. Got some threads on here too. Okay, so now we're going to put it back in the basket. so I'm going to button it. And just do some finicky adjustments. These buttons look good. They stand out just enough. Okay. And we have it. Looks good. There it is with the liner. And there it is with the top. So if my top matched it, it would look really good. So we are done. Okay, so for a giveaway for today, I will be giving away my prototype liner, which this is the fabric. If you're interested in winning this one, let's put button, B-U-T-T-O-N. It's made with the same lining, and this one has purple buttons. If you don't like purple, you can change them. That's just what I found 4 of. And then this will be the second giveaway, and let's put leaf, L-E-A-F, if you're interested in winning this one. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please share your liners and your baskets. I'd love to see them. Again, don't forget to enter to win one of the 2 that I'm giving away. And I will see you on FlossTube. Thanks.